Hi, Anti-Society! Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are checking out more Bleach episode 253, which I was a little bit surprised by. I'm like, we're getting a lot closer to the end of this arc than I was realizing, but we ended up with a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the last episode with this fight between Byakuya and Koga. I'm a little bit curious about how it's going to turn out because I feel like thematically it makes sense for those two to be fighting, but also it's a shonen, so I'm like waiting for Ichigo to get involved, but like maybe he's just going to fight Muramasa and the Hollows. I don't know, we're going to find out. In 3, 2, 1, go. Also, I realized in setting up for this that I have a particular color palette going on. Just the tism, don't worry about it. Yeah, okay, also, because if we're gonna have Koga be like the big bad at the end, right? If he's gone, right, a la Byakuya, then Muramasa is probably gone. So then how do we fight Muramasa? Unless we're like gonna time jump a little, right? Like focus on Muramasa and then Koga, which is kind of how I thought this was gonna go. And we just wanted to deal with the Byakuya of it all before that. Or if because Koga has like kicked out Muramasa, that he's like gonna morph into something at least temporarily separate, his own kind of entity, for at least the duration that we need to fight him, for the sake of plot. We still haven't learned who has the hood cloak going on, right? Because we haven't gone back to all of the other stuff happening with Soul Society. We've been doing flashbacks. But I'm assuming it's Rukia's Zanpakuto. That's my theory right now. Because Byakuya was in on it the whole time. He knew exactly what was going on, and so did his Zanpakuto. So I'm assuming that the destruction was greatly exaggerated. Yes? Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with that. Just casual. He's going a little crazy. Not that he didn't have some wild eyes before. I can understand why, though. Like, his whole existence is, like, wrapped up with being with a Soul Reaper, and then the Soul Reaper's just like, no, go away. Right? Like, what does that do to a, like... Dang, the voice acting. What does that do to an entity that's, like, whole existence is, like, to be teamed up with a Soul Reaper? And also, he's been eating some hollows, so I know it's not exactly what he's doing, but you know what I mean. Yeah, there's some despair happening. I will say that for Muramasa, some great willpower. Also love that we have the like blood or whatever almost, right? But it's also like tears to go with him like calling out for Koga. Like it's a mixture of like pain and also sadness, which I think is a good visual for it. Oh, great. Working like hollow bait. That turned out swimmingly the last time that was part of the plot. Which I was reminded of because I'm reading through more of the manga. Quincy? Yeah. I can like him in this arc. He infuriates me less. Not you calling it a can of bug spray. Yeah, maybe don't turn your back on a bunch of hollows. Just saying, just saying. Get pie. Yeah, I would like to know what's gonna happen to him. Cause like, oh. Well, I wasn't expecting like a black hole of despair, but sure. Hello? Go see who falls first. Dang. Got to Byakuya. At least even a little bit. That's impressive. Is it? Interesting how he used his weapon to keep him from falling, and yet he didn't want his Sanpokdo there. You pushed him away, man. Though I guess I do kind of expect him to be like, I can just treat everyone any way I want to, and they will answer me, right? But I guess he also like doesn't know fully that the reason Muramasa like didn't come and help him away in the past is because he had pushed Muramasa away so much that he could not communicate with his Zanpakuto anymore. Aw. Interesting. Speaking from personal experience. True. For all the honor he has towards his family, he did also agree to be seen as a traitor in order to deal with a problem that was also ultimately to restore the name of his family. Byakuya, you say like 3 words. I don't know if you know what talkative looks like. But I also say that as someone who makes very long videos because I will not stop talking, so. I might also not know. But I don't trust that that's the end of Koga. Like, he just fell into some water and we're like, he's probably dead. He's mummified. Also, Muramasa is still, like, here. Ish. In essence. Oh! I was gonna say glow up, but I don't know if that's entirely the right way to describe that. I think it's a mixture. It is giving Arankar, which I know I'm pronouncing aggressively American, and I'm sorry. No, I was trying to get to him. I love the organ music that always comes in. Yeah. I don't know, man. He's like a creation of Koga. I can understand him being like, you were supposed to, we were supposed to be a team. Because it wasn't just like a like basic rejection. It was a like, I don't need you and you're worthless. I'll just replace you with whatever else I can find. Right? I do think it's interesting though that we have like the lore around hollows, right? And being like souls that kind of got, you know, like stuck here instead of moving on in a lot of ways, right? That we have Muramasa who's like incapable of giving up Koga and therefore has shifted into something very Hollowlike. Cool design though. I already liked Muramasa's design, but like I don't know, the exoskeleton works for him. Also, I think it's interesting that he immediately went to separate Ichigo from everyone. Like, that was the first move. Separate. Ooh, I do not like that you went through the shield. Also, do not pick a fight with my sweet boy Sado. Thank you. Interesting to have the one eye, too. Really? We're making that connection? I mean, I'm all for, like, empathy or whatever, but, like, we are... He's actively trying to kill us on Hime. You know, my sweet darling, but, like... actively trying to kill you at this very second. Cool, like, tracking shot, though. Not sure I needed to see it again. I know there was a commercial break there in the middle, but, like, I remember. You doing okay? Lost your footing there for a little bit. Yeah, there are some pressing matters. I was also worried about... I was also worried about the injuries. Did kind of answer my question about how Muramasa would exist without a Soul Reaper. Ooh, redeemable. Well, now we have a harder mission. We're not just slicing and dicing. We're gonna have to save the soul, aren't we? You got this, Orihime. This is your thing. Empathy and all that. I also think it's interesting to have this plot line when we were also dealing with, like, Ichigo and his hollow at the beginning, and Muramasa was like, that's interesting. Oof. Ichigo being like that, and I'm like, ooh, I come from the future and I know some more of the plot when it comes to Sanpokto and everything. Thanks for the freeze frame. You can tell a little bit that the budget wasn't there for this one. But you know what? That's fine. We got some cool animation earlier on, and I understand filler arc. I'd rather the main plot be cool, like have the cool animation of fights and everything. Yeah, I was like, maybe we don't go super close. We don't really know what's gonna happen. Even if there is a transformation back. What if he does the explosion thing again? The black hole thing, you know? Dang, did we just, like, throw Ichigo? And he's just, like, mildly inconvenienced by it? Is there a plan here, Ichigo? Because it looks like we're just throwing shots and seeing what happens. Not that that doesn't work out fairly well for him, but, you know. Ooh, hello! Speaking of Hollow, Ichigo. I don't know, I feel like if anyone could tell Muramasa how to fight off a hollow inside of him, it would be Ichigo. That's like one of the few people who would be able to have that conversation. It's a unique experience. Or like literally any advisor. But I do like them a little bit too much. Dang! Can we get like Shinji up in here? Would he be the right one? I don't know. Who's like the best one for this? Actually, Muramasa and Shinji in a fight together would be wild. Like the sheer amount of like reality distortion. We trippy. Oh, yes. No, we're still dealing with all the other hollows that are around. Thank you for reminding us that there's like an army of hollows or just on standby. So again, is there a plan? I don't know. I think you two work better when you're working together. Right? Close combat and distance. Team up. I'm assuming this is when Soul Society is going to get more involved, because we have an army to fight. So I'm assuming this might be where the captains are like, sorry we're late. Oof. That was kind of cool, actually. I'll give you that one, Ichigo. I do like that we just have a bunch of, like, dragon fodder. With all these hollows. It's rough, buddy. I'm still not entirely convinced it's over, though. Mostly because I know how many episodes we still have left. I said we were close, but we're not that close. We're not, like, final handful of episodes close. What'd I say? Ooh! Uh-oh. He's evolving. I don't like that he's just a blob. Yeah, I think what is the right reaction? Oh. Honestly, their horrified faces were a valid reaction to whatever that is. I don't know. I'm kind of with Ruki on that one. I'm like, I don't know what that blob is, but I mean, I know it's because like instability, but you know, like maybe like what's the plan? Run towards it? Hope for the best? Oh, good. I feel like pretty bad is a little bit of an understatement, but I understand what we're going for. Dang, Byakuya. Look at those heels. Look, I know this is all very serious, but also I have watched the arc after this. Ooh, look who it is! I knew she was still around. I was kind of wondering because we had the title card that was like the ice, and I was like, who else is ice? All right, let's go. Got more? Zanpakuto? Hey! Let's go! What'd I say? There's so much going on. Kira. I'm fine. What happened with Kanpachi, though? I'm assuming maybe we'll get a flashback. To be like, this is how everyone ended up here to help us out. But it's amazing how happy I get to just like see so many of these characters. I'm like, yay! Like the moment it was like Ichigo, I was like, ah! It's just nice, you know? So much is happening in later parts of watching the Bleach anime that I'm like, I like that for this. I'm just like, I can crack jokes and have a fun time. And it's whatever. Because we're just here to like live in the world for a little extra. And I don't have to be like trying to figure out all the different layers of what's happening. But I like that we got backup. If we're gonna be fighting an army, honestly, it was pretty well set up. I will give that. For a filler arc, I'm like, I understand what we were going for. I understand the pieces we set up to get here, right? Like, we understood that if we were gonna get rid of Koga in some way, that we would need to explain why Muramasa was still here. And if we needed to explain why he was still here, and like raise some stakes to be like, how do we justify having a bunch of Soul Society get involved? And it's like, Army of Hollows? It's like, cool. Use that. I can see the reverse engineering. That's my boy. Well, the idea is like, let's keep one of them as a pet. Hollow. I'm sorry, have the binoculars and also the eye covering took me out for a second. Yeah. I mean, like I said in part of the episode, I can see that the animation was like a little bit iffy, which is like expected, right? We had a moment where I was like, oh, this is actually like pretty well done. The fight between Byakuya and Koga. I'm like, I can understand why we're also cutting some corners on other stuff, especially like just in general, logistically, having a bunch of fight stuff back to back. And we still have what, like a little bit over like 10 episodes left in this arc. So there's still stuff that has to happen. There's still things that need to be animated. So you have to pick and choose what you're going to do with it. And this was really just to set up like the threat, right? Like a lot of this episode was to be like, all right, let's deal with the Muramasa of it all and be like, what's happening with him? What are his abilities? Turning him into this kind of Arrancar-esque thing, I think fits with some of the stuff that we've set up, and also reminding us of some of the dynamics of Ichigo and like his stuff with Hollows and everything. Obviously different, but we're like playing off of some of the stuff that's already been like established in universe, and it ups the stakes of him as a character, right? Because it's not just him being like a weapon for Koga, and it's shifting the way that he works and also like leaning into some of the empathy of his character after everything. It does make me wonder what's going to happen with ability wise, because he hasn't taken over anybody's weapons or anything. He hasn't done any of the like illusions or the restraints kind of thing. And I know that we established that was like one of Koga's abilities that Muramasa was pulling from, but we still haven't gone into any of Muramasa's like specific power set in any of this, which I don't know how much we could do with that if the Zanpakuto are like capable of knowing the trick. I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like there might be some other things that might pop up in terms of that like combat, as well as figuring out how to save him. I'm assuming that's going to be the ultimate objective here. But it was also like bringing in all these hollows, making this like unstable ability, establishing that they like didn't have enough people to like deal with the threat that was happening, so that we can bring in the rest of Soul Society, have a final showdown with the rest of the characters, which I'm excited about. I'm excited to get to see them like fight alongside these personifications of their Zanpakuto instead of fighting against them. So it'll be fun to get to see the like teamwork where the Zanpakuto are like able to communicate and interact with the world in a different way than I'm used to seeing within the rest of the Bleach storylines. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this place to go to my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a Bleach reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye.